everybody. It's Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansion's news podcast for the third week of August 2015. Where did the summer go? I don't know. And we're going to talk about what's been going on.
Why are you pointing at my paper?
Because I'm looking at what you have.
Don't write about... You're not supposed to peek at my notes.
Hey, I give you most of your
No, you don't.
stories. This week I did anyway.
No, you don't. I give you my stories.
Summer is pretty much over. And big deal, I work every day anyway. It doesn't make a difference. But anyway, what's the big story this week? Well, as you know, there was an attack on a speed train from Amsterdam to Paris. And the attacker was Ayoub El-Kazani, 26 years old, a Moroccan person. Gee, I know someone else who has Moroccan genetics. I'm not going to say who it is. But this person on the high-speed train from Amsterdam to Paris had a Kalashnikov weapon. And he was disarmed and beaten unconscious by two American soldiers and a British person who probably just stood and said didn't want to get himself with nasties on him. Well, that's true. And they said that this El-Kazani was already on the government officials' radar in 3 European countries. So here's my question. They knew he traveled to Syria and Turkey and is believed to have received military training by ISIS. So if he's on the radar, they knew who he was, they knew what he could possibly do. Why was he walking around freely? Because they wanted him to do something. And you know what? In the last several so-called terrorist attacks in France and in other locations, the news has stated, oh yes, the authorities, they knew about this person. Then why are they walking around? Why did they let them do this? Do you have an answer? No. Because they want them to do it. And I don't have this in my notes here, but I just read on the news just before this El-Kazani stated that he only intended to rob the people on the train. He wasn't going to kill anybody. And that he found the guns on a playground for children.
He might have.
Because children would have them.
You know what? If he was programmed to do it, somebody could have left the gun there and programmed him to find him.
But either way, taking a Kalashnikov on a speed train in Europe, not a good thing.
No, it's not.
No. Anyway, more on that as time goes on. Now let's go to some weird things. Ready? And it's happened in North Carolina, which is a weird place to begin with. A cloaked figure is apparently dropping raw meat on playgrounds in North Carolina. They call it a creepy, pale figure that has sparked fear among locals and was reportedly caught on camera lurking outside an apartment complex off of Hudson Boulevard in Gastonia. You know who is in Gastonia? I used to work with a police officer in Gastonia on murder cases. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. A long time ago.
I wonder if she's listening. Anyway, they said that this could be a character from a horror film or from Star Wars. It looks like the evil emperor. They don't know. This person wears a floor-length hooded black robe. Their identity and gender are unknown. And according to a local person, quote, "We live in a world today where you don't know what's going on and you don't know people." Well, that's the truth. Absolutely. It reminds me of a Harry Potter movie come to life. It's definitely about ritual and imprinting. And I think, and wasn't there a story recently that you did about a person that was seen like on the roads in U.S. wearing some kind of an outfit, and
oh, yeah.
I forgot, that was like a few months ago. So stuff is going on like that. Speaking of the southern United States, there are entire towns that are sinking. In fact, 10 years ago, Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, and now fishing towns are disappearing into the Gulf of Mexico. According to this report, that there are villages that are losing land every year to erosion, but it's not really erosion because more than almost 1,900 square miles of Louisiana land has turned into open water in the last 100 years. And an average, this is amazing, 17 square miles of the state are lost every year into the ocean, and hurricanes speed up the disappearance. Now, as I have mentioned in many of my seminars and maybe podcasts or webinars, the southern part of Louisiana is tilted into the water and is sinking into the Gulf. And we know, since the BP disaster, that the floor, the Gulf of Mexico, is very unstable. There's been earthquakes there, and everything is sinking in. So if you live in Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, you're in bad shape. I'd get the heck out of there. If you're within 100 miles of the coast, get the heck out. Now, the same thing is happening in California, because just recently they've reported that as water is pumped up from underground because of the drought, that the ground is sinking. Did you know that? The ground is sinking in California. And also in Florida, southern Florida, from Tampa, if you drew a line, look at the map, from Tampa, Orlando, Daytona, everything south of that is sinking, and there's been a recent 4.3 earthquake just last weekend between Cuba and Key West, and that's part of the collapse of the land. Well, I know it's only the end of August, but it's time for the winter predictions. And the Old Farmer's Almanac predicts a widespread snow across the United States starting in December, and a white Christmas for millions, including southern United States. And they're predicting above normal snow and very cold weather. It will take a turn for the worse in mid-December and January, which is not unusual, happens anyway. But the Farmer's Almanac and the Old Farmer's Almanac are over 80% accurate. The National Weather Service always disparages them, says that they're full of baloney. But because of the Weather Service is usually wrong, they always have to cover their butts. Now, the National Weather Service and many other private news services are saying that El Nino in the Pacific Ocean is predicted to cause warmer winters in North America. And they've been saying that for years, and it's yet to happen. But recently and currently, there have been huge typhoons in the Pacific Ocean, which push the jet stream north into an arc that then pushes the cold air into North America. And I think you have a story about what's happened in North America recently, in Calgary.
I know my stories. And all it is that there was snow in Calgary.
Feel free to respond at any time.
If you know my stories.
Okay, back to me. Okay,
if you know my stories, then
just
you can tell my story.
Just stop.
All the only stories that they had snow in Calgary. And
I'm not hearing you.
End of story.
Yeah, end of story. Remember, people, that even the National Weather Service reported this a couple of weeks ago, just last month predicted that much of the northern hemisphere will be under ice and snow by 2030, and that's only 15 years away. Now, speaking of that, in Scotland, it's very nice in Scotland, you know that? Yes, I love Scotland. The winter snow still hasn't melted because there's an incredible network of tunnels and caves that cling to the mountains after the cold summer. Now, according to this story, this is not unusual, that usually this part of Scotland retains its winter snow even through part of the summer months. However, they are saying that a range of factors has seen a growing number of snow patches remaining since 2007, but that this summer, 2015, there's more snow than has been seen in over 20 years. So that's not global warming, obviously. And remember, people, last month in July, there was snow in Hawaii. Is that global warming? Hawaii in July? I mean, any month.
How about Calgary having snow in August?
Well, that's what I didn't want to say anything, because then you'd be upset I took your story. But I'll wait till you do that.
No, that's my story. Is it?
That's the only story you have?
No, that's the only weather story.
That's the only winter story,
that
even
I
though it's
have,
summer.
Is that in Calgary they had snow in August. That's it.
Okay. Now, people, listen.
You want to do that now, or you want to wait until after I do my stories?
This
and then
one?
Answer? Yes.
Okay, I'll wait till you.
All right. So first of all, as you know, on Mars, they've been showing a lot of crazy
I was just
things
there last week.
in Mars.
Yeah.
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 And apparently, NASA recently published a picture showing a woman shaped
I remember
like a woman.
seeing that, yeah.
She was a long-haired woman standing on a rock. So that's an
I
NASA
thought it was
picture.
you, actually. It looks just like you.
No, I was gone. It might have been.
And the same kind of hair and everything.
Yeah. The other thing is there are a lot of UFO space stories that are, like we've talked about, more and more every single day, so it's hard to choose which ones to talk about.
Right.
But this happens to be about the ISS. Now notice this isn't ISIS, this is ISS, the International Space Station. So when I first saw this, it was like the Obama-Osama thing, you know, when they were running or whatever they were doing, they introduced that. It's like in my head, it's kind of like this mix. Is it ISS or is it ISIS? So all kinds of stuff going out there to keep you on your toes. Apparently the ISS is being monitored by aliens. This is what conspiracy theorists are saying.
I'm not surprised.
They're saying that NASA, whenever they see something, quickly turns it away so we don't know that the aliens are there.
Right. Or do they really want us to know and not admit it?
Well, apparently something's going on because this story is on mainstream news.
Right.
And then I had also talked about, maybe a year or so ago, it seems like, about the panspermia theory that claims life on Earth may have arrived from outer space.
Right.
So
Did we
now,
hear that before?
Well, at that time when I made that report, it said that life was carried to Earth by comets or by meteors. But they're saying that this theory is gaining more support among astrobiologists, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they also say there's a good chance that life first evolved on, guess where? Mars instead of Earth. So Mars is a continual theme in the news right now.
Right.
Then we have a comment made by Edgar Mitchell, who's the sixth man to walk on the moon, supposedly.
I remember.
He is claiming that aliens are trying to save America from a nuclear war, and that UFOs shot at missiles in white sands to protect the Earth.
Yeah, I've read about that.
And he says that there are UFO stories from high-ranking military officials to back up his claim. So he said test missiles were frequently shot down by alien spacecraft.
See, I don't think they did that to save anyone. I think they did it to protect themselves.
No, I'm sure. But it's just interesting. Again, like I said, the amount of space stories that are coming out is incredible. Every single day there are UFOs here, UFOs there. So it's continuing. And of course the Mars story is the same thing. That's not dropping either. Now this was an interesting story about a Russian man in Siberia, actually an artist, who was out walking, and he said that he felt a Yeti in watching him. So he turned around and there he was standing in the woods. And so he invited the 8-foot-tall Yeti to stand while he just drew a sketch on a piece of
and the thing just
tree
stood
bark.
there?
Apparently. He said that they were communicating by telepathy. And he said that he felt he was trying to talk to me, and claims that he was 2.5 meters tall or 8 feet 2 inches with thick dark brown hair like a bear's. The Yeti was holding a wooden stick with bits of hair wrapped around it, and they said he had light-colored human type of eyes. Now this was interesting too, because he said that he asked he felt this was a male, what its name was, and it beat on his chest, and it had very low voice, and it said Ta-ban. And apparently there is a shore language in Siberia, and he says it could mean, quote, the one who was not discovered. Anyway, he said the creature's body was shaped like a male. His feet were 18 inches long. The body was toned with lots of visible muscles. And anyway, he just said he couldn't believe that he stood there the whole time while he drew this. And then they also say that this man is very credible in the community. So if he says it's basically they believe him.
I do believe that.
And they're very interesting pictures. So if you have a chance to follow this link, you should do that and take a look.
And you'll remember that story I told in one of my one of our conferences about how the Soviet army captured what they believed to be a Neanderthal. And it was the 1930s and 40s, and that there was a female that they actually had children with, and her descendants are still in a Siberian village.
Yeah, no, we've heard that story, so it's very interesting.
Yes.
And then we have another geologist who is also a Russian, and he says,
those are the best people,
apparently, that there are mysterious markings, and how do you say this word?
Phrygian Valley.
Phrygian Valley of central Turkey that were made by an intelligent race. Now apparently there are ruts all through this valley.
Oh, yeah.
And they're evenly spaced, and some of them are up to 3 feet deep. And so then now, of course, they're hard rock, and this geologist says that rocky fields were covered with the ruts left some millions of years ago, and we are not talking about human beings. He says, as a geologist, I can certainly tell you that unknown antediluvian all-terrain vehicles drove around central Turkey some 12 to 14 million years ago. He says archaeologists avoid touching this matter because it will ruin their classic theories. But he says, I think we are seeing the signs of the civilization which existed before the classic creation of this world.
I agree.
So more and more of this is coming out, the hidden history, which we're going to be talking about in October.
Well, yes.
He said...
and I'm actually going to go to Turkey, and I mentioned this story to the sponsor there, and she knows about it.
Yeah, no, it's very fascinating. Anyway, but he says that the ancient car tracks are one of the number of clues which prove the existence of ancient civilization. So, very interesting story. And then, now this one happened actually the first part of August, but I was gone, but I didn't want to let this one go by. This was about, are you reading my notes?
No.
I didn't think so. This is about, apparently there was a light show on the south side of the Empire State Building in New York. It was done by some foundation called Projecting Change. And it was showing animals that were on their way to extinction, including Cecil the lion, who the people in that country claim that they didn't even know about.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Anyway, at the end of the show, they projected Kali, K-A-L-I, which is the Dark Mother, the destroyer of illusions, and the personification of time, death, and holy change. And by, get the artist name, Android Jones.
That's the name of a person?
I don't know if it's his birth name or his made-up name. Android Jones doesn't seem like it should go together.
No.
But anyway, I guess it's a male. It says stole the show, and people were left saying that this was a giant image of Satan. So I think it's very telling that that was the last image that was projected. Then, I don't know if you saw this, that scientists discovered the 8th color of the rainbow.
No.
I thought that was a fascinating story.
It?
Well, they said it's an invisible 8th color,
and
it's a discovery that could have wide-ranging implications on the nature of
it's invisible?
Of military camouflage and modern espionage. Because they said now they're working with camouflage, they're bending light.
Right.
And instead of this, they're going to show a new color, and they say since people don't know it, they won't be able to recognize it. So I thought that was kind of odd. And then I meant to look this word up, but I forgot to. Portmanteau. You know what that means?
No.
Portmanteau word used by linguists to convey the difficulty some languages have differentiating between blue and green. So they're calling this color anywhere from grue to bleen.
Oh, I'm not stupid.
Well, that's what they said. So anyway, again, they're talking about this being a key breakthrough.
Turquoise.
A key breakthrough in the invention of an invisibility cloak, which makes me think of the Philadelphia experiment. So again, if we haven't seen this color before, how will other people see things when we paint with it? If it's invisible, I don't know.
I don't see it.
And then it says the fashion world is said to be particularly excited about this color.
I bet naked, invisible clothing.
I don't know.
The-
The
what's that-
Emperor's
what's
New
that?
Clothes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and then this was my last story about the latest trend in stress relief is adult coloring. Now, this I've been watching for probably the last couple of years or so, and I haven't paid too much attention, but I'm noticing that it's becoming more and more mainstream. So I read this article, and people who do it claim that the coloring calms them down, and it's a stress relief. But you know, it used to be people had hobbies, maybe knitting, crocheting, sewing, woodworking. Now they're coloring. And there are all kinds of color books for people, adults, to buy. And some of these are, in my opinion, programming type of pictures that will enhance the programming. And anyway, one person's writing, I'm not an artist, so I don't have to have anxiety. Am I doing this right? Am I choosing the wrong color? It's a pretty forgiving way to do art. Well, to me, art, I mean, I know we do this with children, we give them coloring books, but again, it teaches them to a point how to keep within the lines and spatial things. But I really think it's better if people have free creativity and not feel constricted by lines. But so anyway, and there's an art therapist that says while coloring is not art therapy, she said it can be therapeutic. So anyway, apparently there were 2 adult coloring titles among Amazon's top best-selling books. The 10 top best-selling books by Friday on August 21st. And then Barnes & Noble are selling them. Pal's Books are selling them. So apparently they're flying out the door. But personally, I am a little bit reserved whether or not I think that this is really as healthy as what people think that it is.
You didn't do the story on Calgary.
I did the story on
Calgary. You did?
Calgary.
With the snow in Calgary?
That's it. It snowed.
That's it? That's all you're going to say about that?
Yes. That's it. That's the story. What else can I say? It snowed in Calgary in August. Shouldn't have happened.
Wow, I thought you had more to say about that.
No, I didn't.
That's very disappointing, isn't it?
Not to me, because that was the story.
No.
Now go ahead with what you have there.
Well, because reason I say that
Yes.
is because it's not supposed to snow in Calgary in August.
Right, I said that.
And the forecast was for rain.
Yes.
But then the temperature suddenly dropped, and it created quite a bit of snow, not only in Calgary, but through the Rocky Mountains and Alberta.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting. All right, so now many of you have sent in your podcast questions. And actually 2 were similar. So I'm going to say there's one person who wrote from the eastern coast of the United States, that's what their name mentioned, and they want to know more about China. For example, they mentioned that a second chemical plant explosion on the 22nd of August was the first in a series. The first one happened on August 12th, which was Montauk Day. And there has been a discussion apparently on the internet, and they call it the rod from God, which
that's that the rod of light that's coming down.
Oh, that picture that you're...
Yeah, it's been all over the internet.
I don't believe that is a fake picture. And they wonder if there's Kuiper Belt involvement. And I think, yes, there is sabotage here, but it's not from the Kuiper Belt. This is from the Windsors, and it's due to China's alignment with Russia and the Romanovs. And so the Windsors and possibly the Rothschilds are sabotaging China to remove their ability to use chemicals for weapons, etc. Now, also, they said, this person, the Basel Committee, Basel, Switzerland, sets global financial policy. And the question is China being forced to devalue their currency, or are they doing it because of the involvement with BRICS? And that BRICS represents Brazil, Russia, India, China. I don't know.
Spain?
No. I think S is just plural.
Sweden?
And there are endless theories on that too. And yes, the answer is part of the global plan is to create all... Stop it!
I know a lot of S countries.
Not that have population or power. Part of the global plan to crash all currencies and create a new one in 2016. And...
Well, did you answer the China one?
What?
Did you answer the China one?
I just did.
About the big hole.
The what?
The big hole. There's a big explosion, left a big hole in China.
I think there's a big hole in there, okay?
Yeah, Tianjin.
Yeah. Okay, back to me. Now from Sweden.
That's another S country.
Yes, but this is not a BRICS country. And the question, and this person likes me to say his name, and this is from Marcus Leiheden, Sverige. Hej då, mot svensk Vanja, hoppas du mår bra.
Yeah, it's a
I'm so sorry, Sweden.
I can speak Swedish too.
Anyway, he said it. Also, his question is about China and the drop in their currency, and the news in Sweden is very vague. For example, and basically my answer is the same. China, Russia, many of the so-called coming up industrial nations, not quite third world, not quite second world, anyway, they are trying to collapse the current currencies so that they can replace it in 2016, as I mentioned before, with a new currency, which, by the way, was requested by the Pope, by Putin, and by the government of China. So those are the ones that we are looking at. Now, this next person who does give me, and he says, express written permission to use his name. And by the way, he says, if any of these topics are in fact addressed in one of your books, then I apologize for my lack of memory and I will not take this scolding personally. The reputation that I have, seriously.
Well, you deserve it, my dear.
Well, the person is Mr. George Stark from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he himself states it, one of the biggest programming centers on the planet. Yes, George, it is. And he also says that Stewart seemed annoyed. Me?
Never.
By the absence of your question. George, don't make me come over there.
Stuart never gets annoyed.
I don't want to go to New Mexico.
Everyone should know that by now.
So he has quite a bit of questions here. I'm not going to go into detail, but because actually I'm not going to be here for a bit of time, I'm going to just quickly go through some of these questions. And he wants to know, if the elections are rigged and the votes of the citizens don't really count for anything, does it really matter if Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or anybody else, what they do or say, since it's predetermined? And the answer is true. Yes, it doesn't matter, but I think, Mr. Stark, which by the way, you know what Stark means in German?
Stark?
Yeah, it means like really tough. Anyway.
Stark in English means kind of bleak.
Yeah, but okay. But I think that Trump might be part of a sabotage group. But here's the thing. If he wins, then we know he's one of them. And if something happens to him, we know something else is true. Now, the next question is, was Akhenaten, the pharaoh of Egypt, a hybrid or purebred? Yeah, well, the answer is all Egyptian rulers were hybrids, like we all are. But Akhenaten did have a closer connection to the original source of alien genetics. That's why he had a strange head and body and all that. And what else can you say about Akhenaten? Well, too much for here. Come to my conference in October, Mr. Stark, and I'll tell you more in person. What was the name of Emmanuel's twin brother? I think it was George. I'm pretty sure it was George, but I will tell you again in the October conference. Was Tesla's obsession with the numbers 369 at all related to your knowledge, meaning me, of these numbers as they relate to the language of hyperspace? Well, 369 is the basis for all patterns in creation. 3 meaning perfection creation, 6 meaning as above so below, meaning from the non-physical to the physical, and 9 the end of a cycle. Plus we have 3 representing pale orange, 6 ice blue, 9 gold, meaning that the creative truth is communicated in a spiritual manner. So yes, that's what all means. He says, we've read your book 13 Cubed about Tinkerbell programming. Have you heard of Peter Pan programming, and what can you tell us about it? You're so curious, George. You're Curious George. Wasn't that a cartoon?
No,
he's
it's a book.
Curious George.
It's a book.
Yeah, that means he's a monkey, right?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, Peter Pan programming is about never growing up and being stuck in a child altar. So, thank you, Mr. Stark. Mr. George Stark from Santa Fe, New Mexico Programming Center. Thank you for all your questions. And again, I must tell everybody that you're going to be solo for a couple of weeks, aren't you?
I will.
I won't be back until September 21. And then I'm leaving again.
And then again and again and again.
And again and again. So really, people, you won't see me consistently till the end of November.
Yeah. Well, unless they go see you in one of your places around the world. Mm-hmm. Then they can see you consistently.
Right.
If they're a groupie and they go from place to place, they can see you consistently.
Right, but bring gifts if you're going to do that.
Because he likes gifts. Anyway, but you will be back for our October conference. Hidden Histories and Mysteries.
And then I leave 2 days later.
I know, but that's going to be a great one. We have Mary Sutherland from Burlington, Wisconsin coming.
Oh, yes.
She's going to be speaking about the red-haired giants of North America and bringing never-before-seen artifacts.
Yes, I can't wait.
We have George Spyerson coming from Chicago, or not Chicago.
Illinois.
From Illinois. And he will be speaking about the Mary Magdalene frequency and the Isis connection.
And then the new one.
Yes. Oh, we just confirmed this morning.
Yes.
Gary Grinberg.
Gary the Numbers Guy.
Yeah, will be speaking on the financial situation and how the elite put the numbers out in plain sight and how you miss this. So.
And you need to be, if you're going to, September's the month, so you better be here in October.
Yeah, so anyway, that was going to be a very interesting presentation. He was with us, a few years ago?
A couple years ago he was here.
Yeah,
too.
and people loved his presentation, so we're happy to have him back. Welcome back, Gary. And of course, we will have Christopher Garitano, who will be showing the Montauk Chronicles movie during our lunch break while you eat your hamburger bar, which
Is that what it's going to be?
we're providing for you. Yes, a very lovely hamburger bar. And then there's going to be a panel. So you're going to have an opportunity to talk to Christopher, to Stewart, to Gary, to Mary, to George, and to me.
Oh, it's a cast of thousands.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. We're also going to be doing a section on clear energy. So you want to be here for that presentation.
Oh, you do.
So anyway, it's going to be fantastic. Oh, and we just found out that the maker of our radionics box will be there Saturday only to answer questions.
Oh,
He
great.
will not be there on Sunday.
He's great.
Yeah, he's great. So you'll be able to talk about radionics, look at the boxes, place your order, because we always give good prices when that you come to the conferences to thank you for your travels.
Those are going pretty fast these days.
And he's pretty well, I think, almost backed up with orders right now.
His full-time job.
Yeah, so anyway, those have been very, very popular. The radionics workshop was amazing. That will be coming out on pay-per-view soon, so watch for that. I have my fasting webinar. If you want to get ready and clean yourself out
I'm
mentally.
going to miss that
Yeah,
one.
I'm sure you're
Darn.
disappointed. So I've done this before. People love it, believe it or not. And of course, that's going to include free the fasting and detoxification webinar I did before, plus the 3-day group fast I did before to get them ready. So please go to the website and read about that. And then, of course, in January, we have our big week-long class, which is our Hyperspace Oversoul Extravaganza, where we get into the basics, the foundational material, and then we build on that. It's 7 full days, and we make sure it's very full. And you have an opportunity to interact with us one-on-one. We will answer your questions. We help you get lined up and settled out for your coming year. And if you have any desire to go into our Oversoul Mastermind group, you have to have this class under your belt. So people in that group are kind of on the same.
And we already have people coming from Australia and Europe and everywhere else.
Yeah, well, they always come from all over the world. So it's always a good class. So we have a great lineup for you coming.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, check out Stewart's European events.
Starts next week.
That's right. You start in London.
Actually, by the time they see this, I might be gone.
You might be. Well, hopefully they'll see it before that. But London is your first event, is that correct?
Correct.
And then where?
Well,
How do you remember?
From there, I go to Karpacz, Poland, then to Trier, Germany, then to Istanbul, Amman, and
And I think your Polish book will be out by the time.
it's already translated.
Yeah, and we've seen the cover and approved that. So I think that's Hyperspace Helpers that they're working on now.
Think so, yes.
So that's very good that we're going to have that in that language, because we have a lot of Polish readers and viewers and seminar attenders and so forth. So that's very good.
Yes.
And then you'll be back for the conference, and then you go again. Do you know where you go?
Yes.
Where?
Then I will be in Poznan, Poland, Berlin, Singapore and Bali, and back to Qatar.
And then you come home again, and then where do you go?
Then to Uruguay and Spain.
All right. So we have a full slate for you of traveling this fall.
Yes, right. Aren't you lucky?
Yes, I am.
Freedom for you.
Yeah. I have lots of parties while you're gone.
Fine. Maybe I will too.
Better not. I have secret spies everywhere.
Oh, I'll be on camera, so you'll know.
That's true. I know everything anyway. It's the way it is.
And it's very scary.
Yeah. So anyway, with that said, we want to thank you for joining us. Unless you have something else to say.
No, I think I'm done.
Okay, so we have lots of good things coming up for you. There's no excuse not to come and see us somewhere in the world.
You really need to come. Really, this is
nothing
critical.
like being here in person. And when people come, they're so happy. And not only do you get to see us, you get to meet other like-minded people and develop some lifelong friendships. So.
And also see other life forms.
Yeah, you never know what's going to show up at one of our events, right?
You never know.
Right. All right, so we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.
Bye for now. See you in a month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.